You lock me in your gaze, and try though I might, I cannot look away. You're not what I expected to find.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting why I should run from your side. Yeah. One gentle kiss. The pain of leaving.
I've been fiddling around with the ad settings, hoping that it'll do it while we're in the, starting soon. Instead of like a minute into the stream.
Oh, yeah.
Your next slave, but it feels justified. I don't even try to break free, and now I'm blind to the truth at my side. That we win before we begin. If we stand and fight this beautiful distraction, keep me hypnotized, and I fall for the enemy. Powerless reaction. I am paralyzed, and now you get the best of me. Is there no one safe from your deceit and lies? I know I've been told this road isn't paved with gold, but I see it glitter now. I'm sold for we're going down, we're going down. Yeah, we're going down, we're going down. We're going down.
We still have like 1 minute yet.
Yeah, we're just about there. We're in the middle of an ad break, so just as the song ends, we should be ready to go. I realize you can't hear it, but all right, let's go live fully. There we go. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TTRPG Theater. I am your host, Rob Phantom NJ. Hey. There's one of the people I got to meet at the con. Good evening, Dungeon Mr. Ty. I got a picture coming up shortly at some point in my very small photo roll. Hey, does that look familiar? That's New Varden. I am joined by George UltraMagnus Hardy from the TLG Discord, and we're going to be discussing some GaryCon. We're going to be doing a little bit of recap of the weekend that was GaryCon, being the probably the big event, at least for me anyway, in terms of gaming, especially for gaming get-togethers. PAX, Page is going to be pretty big this year, but I guess it's next year because it's January. But still, GaryCon is the big one, and this year was no exception. Got to meet a few people for the first time. Well, first of all, welcome, George.
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
Good. And George, suddenly I can't hear you like I heard you before. I don't know what you did.
I did nothing at all.
Okay. I guess when you talk softly, your mic just does not pick you up.
Okay. All right, I'll keep it loud.
Yeah, no, there you go. That's perfect. There we go. So yeah, there's a lot to discuss. It was a busy. Were you there from Wednesday till what day? What days were you there from?
We arrived Wednesday and we drove back on Monday.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I flew in on Wednesday and flew back on Monday, and wow, yeah, it was flew in early on Wednesday, flew back late on Monday. So I was there for a long time.
And did you take Tuesday off?
Yes. Yeah, I always take the day after the con off because first of all I know that I'm going to get con credit at some point. I think I think the first year I went was the only year I didn't get con crud, and the first year I went there was a different set of issues after when I left, but we won't talk about that. It didn't stop me from coming back actually. But yeah, so where do we want to start? First of all, you can see the pictures that I have from the con. These are photos, mostly photos that I had people take of me or that I had taken.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's go through a little bit of a timeline. You got in on Wednesday. What was it? Wednesday afternoon or so?
Yeah. Wednesday, maybe 6 o'clock. I was able to pick up my badge. There was really no wait.
Good timing. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I got there. I got there at 11. I was in Lake Geneva before 11, and thankfully the vacation club where I was staying, my room was already ready, and I was kind of curious about that until I realized that vacation club checkout is at 10 a.m.
Oh,
Which kind of blew my mind. I was not prepared for that. When it came time to check out, I ended up having to double check. Curtis, good to see you. But yeah, I had some time to relax because my day started out at like, well, first of all, I really didn't sleep. I slept a little. I slept a little on the plane because my car service picked me up at 3:30 in the morning to take me to the airport. I flew out at like 6:20 after 6, and then we were there. We landed at 8:30 local time. So
mhm.
by 10:30 I think I was there by 10:30. Um,
Wow.
Shout out to the wheelchair service for American Airlines in O'Hare because they got me to the my con got off to a really good start. I landed on time. Landed kind of a little early, even earlier than expected. The taxi to the gate felt like it took longer than the plane or the flight it did to Chicago from Newark.
Yeah.
But then I had, because of the boot on my foot, I decided to do wheelchair service to the from the gate from the plane to baggage claim, and arrived just as the first bags came out. I shit you not, the first two bags that came out were mine. I could do a
Wow.
thousand more flights, and that probably will never ever happen to me again. So then at that point, he gave me gave me a hand, gave me a ride to where the train or whatever it was to get to the baggage claim terminal, not baggage claim terminal, the rental car terminal, and then it was just like a quick walk down an elevator and out to my car. So, and thankfully my car was like the vehicle I had was one of the first ones out there. So it was like, yeah, this was nice. Got off to a really good start. And
Yeah.
yeah, got to take a little bit of a nap when I got checked in because well, there wasn't nothing going on until badges, and what gold badges were at like 4 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
heard there was quite the line for other badges at the
mm,
time
oh
at
god,
5 or something.
yeah, and they did a better job of it this year. I think it threw me a bit when they said that the gold badges were on the second floor. But it definitely made it a lot less confusing because last year it was like, which line is this anyway? Especially since the
Mhm.
silver badge basically runs all the way down the hallway, almost out the door.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, where did you stay this year?
Actually, there's a group of us. We did an Airbnb.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
I think it was less than half a block away from Gary Gygax's first house.
That's excellent.
So yeah, one of our players or roommates or whatever it was for the weekend, he went over and he was taking a picture of one of the houses. He thought it was 330 Center Street. However, it was not. And some guy came out and was like, "What are you guys doing?" So that was quite embarrassing for him. I just ran like I supposed to do. Uh, just take off.
Mm.
Uh,
That doesn't look suspicious at all.
that's not my problem. I'm down the street. um,
Oh my
but
goodness.
it was a very cheap alternative having six of us in a six-bedroom house. Well, six. Uh, I think like uh, it was two couples and two guys, so we had to share some of the rooms, but nothing bad.
Nice, nice.
Very very cheap.
Yeah, I went to doing the Holiday Inn that I had done the first trip, which was like was Icorn or something like that, or Elkhorn, or I can't.
Mm,
I was going to do
Elkhorn.
that, and then one of my players had a group of people who were doing an Airbnb in town, and there was like like 6 or 7 of us, and I was talking to the guys and I was talking to them and I don't know any of the other people, and I was like, I hate to do this, but if I go, I kind of would need a room of my own. If there's a single bedroom, and I hated even asking because I don't know any of the people. It's just I was like, it's just there's too many issues that I need to deal with to share a room with someone.
Yeah.
Um, and then suddenly spots at the vacation club opened up, and I'm like, I jumped on that. Like, and I'll be honest,
Yeah.
next year I'm doing that again. That's I've now stayed at 3 of the 4 locations on site. It's the
Okay. Yeah.
vacation club, the Grand, the Lodge, and the Chalet,
Yeah.
and uh, the the Lodge was. I did the Lodge the second year. The Lodge was awesome, but I was also lucky enough that I had one of the rooms closest to the entrance.
Okay.
It was basically you walk past the front desk, they had the fireplace and little congregal area. Um, hey, DM Chris, good to see you. And then just past the shop, turn right, and I was like the first real room.
Yeah.
Um, Staying in the Grand Geneva was of the 4 trips that I've taken so far was literally the worst place for me to stay.
Oh yeah.
The only advantage that thing had was the fact that you didn't have to theoretically technically leave the building, except
Yeah.
for the fact that I guess the entire room block is all the way at the vendor hall end. I don't
Yeah.
I don't know that any of the room because I was like when I stayed at the Grand Geneva last year, my room was the last room or the next to last room in the 200 block, and then you have the
Huh?
100 block, and then the hallway to the vendor hall. I
Hmm.
could see. I mean, I could see the. I was basically 1 floor up, but I mean, I could see that end hallway where the 100 block ended from where I was,
Yeah.
and I thought I had it bad, and then I realized that everyone I knew who was there was in the 100 block was even worse. I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Um, dragging a suitcase. I use the my carry-on suitcase for my DM DM stuff going back and forth. That carpet is terrible for the carpet is terrible for dragging, pulling that thing along.
Yeah.
I was like, staying at the lodge or staying at the vacation club. Vacation club, I was on the first floor, so I just walked out, 50 feet to 30 to 50 feet to where the trolley pulls up. Got on the trolley, pulls me right to the front door, walked right to the elevator, and as easy as possible. Was like, why would I want to do? Why would I want to do anything other than this again?
Yeah, yeah.
Yay!
We my girlfriend actually drove us to the con most days.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of nice because she just dropped us off in the front.
Oh yeah.
If we needed a ride, she would just come back and get us. We nicknamed her Mom. Like, Mom's coming to get us, you know.
And they put guest parking out in Timbuktu this year. The first year, at least the first year I was there, because coming from the hotel, we did the guest parking where it was just past the vacation club down the hill. This year they put it out it looks like they put it out by the chalet. So you really had you couldn't walk. I mean, you could if you were nuts, but it wasn't a walkable distance like it was last year, where it was just a matter of going up going up the little hill and then walking to one section of the parking lot. It's like, all right, well, no, I made the right call. And then of course they have the DM special parking, which I think was still at the spa this year, which stinks because it's on the wrong side of the entrance that you need to be for the Grand. So it's a hell of a walk. I mean, it's not really ideal. This year we had better weather, which was nice. So it wasn't nearly as bad. We didn't have to worry about dragging it through snow.
Right.
But yeah, Chris, I agree with you. The Holiday Inn, was fantastic. For me, it was great. I had this giant suite to myself. If I had known I had a full kitchen, I would have gotten some soap and some more stuff to, like make food for myself. But oh well, live and learn for next year. All right, so we do have some questions that as far as to ask each other that George was nice enough to put together because me if it was me I would just like wing it on all my memories of the con, and a lot of them you're seeing here. So why is GaryCon the best con? Let's start with that, because for my money, I mean, granted, I haven't been to a lot of them. I've been to a surprising few cons honestly. Was it in terms of gaming cons? I think I've been to like 4. Not including GaryCon multiple times. The fact that I've GaryCon multiple times, but why in your estimation is GaryCon the best con?
I've been to quite a few cons. I feel it's one of the friendliest. And just the camaraderie there. Everyone seems to get along. I think the after party after most games are finished, I think everyone enjoys going down to the bar/lounge, or most people do. It's not my scene, but it's definitely a good time down there.
Oh yeah, the mistakes were made.
Oh no.
Well, the lounge itself, the only problem I have with the lounge is when they have the music going. I mean, the lounge gets crowded. The lounge does get crowded, so it also helps if you need to kind of make sure somebody gets there early to like get some seats or whatever.
Right.
But when they have the music on, it's just too loud. There was a one night they had a band going, and I couldn't hear myself. And the funny thing was, I think it was the one night that I actually saw at least 2 people I know in the lounge at that time. But I was like, I can't do this. I couldn't sit there if I wanted to. I wouldn't be able to hear anybody. You would literally need to be sitting next to me shouting in my ear for me to hear you. It's like, that was never my scene, even when I was younger. And now, I was like, all right. The other, the Evolve is much better, generally speaking. It's usually a bit more subdued. They'll have music, but it's not like crazy loud. It's a much better vibe, and as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's also something that, and I don't know, maybe it's just from running games for Troll Lord games, but um, you start to know the people in the room.
Yes.
You know,
It's also where the
um,
troll lords all hang out. That was one thing you could be certain of. If you walked into Evolve at any given time, there was at least three people representing TLG there at any given time.
yeah, and you every year, even though you may not talk to each other, throughout the year, it's just like as if you were just playing with them yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
you pick up on conversation, and it's nice.
Oh, for sure. I mean, for me, really, the big thing for me at the moment, because and again, I haven't been to many, but I've been to enough to know what I like and what I don't like.
Yeah.
First of all, and I'm going to keep ringing this bell until people get the message. Unfortunately, the people who need to hear it aren't here, but and are probably sick of hearing it from me. I appreciate the fact that you do not pay for the individual sessions. You pay for your badge. You pay to stay there. It's like there's
Yeah.
no microtransaction nonsense going on.
Yeah.
It's one, you pay for your badge and have at it. I like that I like that Luke seems to be committed to one, keeping it there. The grand, uh, while it, for me, it's subpar as in terms of layout for a hotel, um, for that type of event. As a place for the con itself, I think it's fantastic because everything is contained in a rather small area.
Yeah.
It's what really three hallways. You got the one hallway, two floors, where really only
Yep.
the top floor. Most of the stuff is in the top floor. Because the bottom floor, that hallway is restaurants and the lounge. So unless really only special events are happening there for the most part. Well, yeah, I mean, it was initially built as a Playboy club, but that's another thing. And then you've got
Well,
the area down by the grand ballrooms. Um,
yes. Is
and
is it Maple and
I think so. It's like Maple A, B, and C. And
yeah.
there's a number of rooms there because you've got the one entrance right by where the where the con help desk is.
Yep.
Where they were also doing the Tower of Gygax this year, which was kind of interesting. And then there's the other hallway that goes out to the other exit basically on the other side of it.
Right.
But really, I mean, that's it. That's all you need to navigate. There was some, there's over 3,000 tickets sold. Did that feel like 3,000 people to you?
No, no. I think because everything is so contained
Mm-hmm.
in the specific areas. Um, yeah. Because like even Shadow Dark, I think was in the basement, if I recall correctly.
This year, I don't think it was in the basement. I think it was on the second floor.
Okay.
I remember walking past I never actually walked in. I don't know why I didn't walk in the door. My brain was kind of melted by that point because you can see a picture of Kelsey Dion, author of Shadow Dark, in this assortment of pictures. Um, but I, it's like I managed to get her autograph because she was my Tower of Gygax DM, and it never occurred to me and I had to rush after Tower of Gygax. It was in the basement. All right. There was something happening on the second floor as well. I don't know what that was. Um, Either that or I'm really just losing my mind as to where this thing was located.
Okay.
Um, but it never occurred to me to go get the selfie that I wasn't able to get there that I probably could have. For all I know, she might have been running other things, but it was just like one of those possible missed opportunities, but it's fine. I was able to score a Shadow Dark book before they sold out because she sent out an email today. There she is. They sent out an email today saying that they did they did end up selling out of all of their stuff.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, I don't know how big the pile was, but I assume it was a lot.
Well, I mean, last year they sold out last year. Last year they sold out quick. I don't know what point they sold out this year. I bought mine on Thursday. I bought mine on Thursday, between my session and the morning session. Hey Keith, good to see you. We're talking some GaryCon. Thank you so much for the subscription. Very kind of you. 39 months. Whoa. Um, and yeah, so it's like I managed to get my book, and she's a delight. I will say that she is. She's about as nice as you can possibly be. It's one of the people that you're like genuinely happy for, because despite the massive success and the fact that they've got the Kickstarter for an expansion for Shadow Dark currently going, and it's already well over $1 million. It might be closing in on 2 million at this point. I think, or at least 1.5 million. Yeah, we were joking about the fact that she wrote this very very grim dark game, always with a big smile on her face. That's basically how she was the entire session. Yeah.
So was that one of your best moments of the con? Was playing in some Shadow Dark with her, or
it was one of them. The fact that I was able to score the book, and she was kind enough to sign it for me. The funny thing is, we've got they had two Tower Gygax games running next to each other, and one of them is J Lord Gazumba, and I'll pop on. What do we call it? He's running a Tower Gygax next, and he's got full on terrain that he's brought with him, or might have one of his sponsors might have provided. I don't remember. I think it was from one of the sponsors. A full on terrain next door. Meanwhile, for Kelsey's game, we're drawing our own map as we're going along on a like an old Chessex battle map thing. It was like high tech, ultra low tech. Contrast the thing. Yeah, we still had a lot of fun. I am currently 3 for 3 in surviving Tower of Gygax. I'm also 3 for 3 and always playing the same character. It's good to be the cleric in Tower of Gygax, let me tell you.
Yeah. Speaking of terrain, I played in a game with Michael T, the summoner of Turnon, and he ran a Castles and Crusades game. He used terrain, and it was one of the best games I've ever played in with someone using terrain, especially at a con. He had a large lazy Susan. He spun the terrain around. We could see different angles of the game. Outdoor, indoor, dungeon, all of it. He just
cool.
Totally.
How big was this lazy Susan?
Maybe 2 feet across.
That's not. I mean, that would
on those tables.
Would that fit
big.
in a standard suitcase? I'm trying to figure that out. Because me, I have to figure out like what I'm bringing with me. I do need to figure that out for next year. Do better planning.
One of the amazing parts was how fast and he's local.
In chat.
Oh yeah.
32 inches. All right.
I exaggerated a little bit.
Oh, you didn't. That's 2.5 feet. Good to see you. Welcome in. He was just. I don't know if you caught. He was just complimenting your, heavily complimenting your use of terrain. If you saw, I had the pictures of some of the terrain that I bought from Retro Gamer Meth while we were at Page. It was, I needed to figure out what I can do next year in terms of bringing stuff with me, and I needed to do better planning on that. But let's see. So best part. Well, all right. Let's go with best parts of the con. Um, the playing Tower of Gygax with Kelsey was up there. I mean, the first day I was there, the Wednesday night, we did Lord Gazumba stream, and you can see the picture there. We were basically doing switching every hour a number of people. So there was a lot of hugs going on, a lot of people from the Greyhawk community. We were the fourth group. That's me sitting at the, taking the picture from the far end. Picture with Elminster. I did remember this year. She used first edition rules for Tower Gygax. We did it was a lot of fun that first night. There was a lot of hugging going on. Socially speaking, it was the best night of me for the con. Things went a little wonky after that because I was always apparently in the wrong place in terms of finding people. But we'll figure that out and we'll get it fixed for next year. So I don't spend too much of the con on my own next time. Let's go. What's your first real big highlight? Well, you mentioned the Summoners game. Do you have another one that you want to?
I think my last game was really good. I had a group of fellows in the table. That they simply played to have fun. And it was an enjoyable game. They were the Grumpy DMs, which or the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. You can go check them out. They seem to do a few podcasts. They have a Discord. Looking forward to following up with them. But they took right to the system, and it's that adventuring party where they come together, and it just all clicked.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll talk about my CK sessions because I want to kind of like separate the CK sessions from the as far as a player just enjoying. After the Tower Gygax session with Kelsey, I had to run upstairs because I got to play after 43 years of playing TTRPGs. Or maybe 43 to 45 years of playing TTRPGs. I played my first Vampire the Masquerade session, and with B. Dave Walters, who is well known in TTRPG spaces. If you follow, especially if you're following on social media, very well known in terms of Vampire the Masquerade. And I don't know if I was the only person new to Vampire the Masquerade. I don't remember. I know most of the table was pretty well versed in like all the lore, but when I tell you that whoever runs my next session of Vampire Masquerade has really big shoes to fill, it isn't just because B. Dave is a very, very tall man. I think he's like 6'6" or 6'7" or something like that. But it was fantastic. The use of lore, getting people to role play was easy to get into. Had a lot of fun. So, it was one thing that I was finally able to cross off my list. I got to do it with somewhat of a celebrity game master, and it was everything that I could have hoped it would be. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I did meet Buck Rogers. Hey, History Prof, good to see you. You have another one, George?
I always enjoy the exhibitor hall.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up a set of dice, the Orcus dice. They look particularly evil.
Nice.
So that'll be good to use. I also picked up a set for Lando on the Castles and Crusades, TLG Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Though, I think every year it becomes a little bit harder to find things that you actually need or want. I picked up a few things, but nothing over the top. But, it's just enjoyable seeing some of the stuff that's out.
Yeah, I walked all the way around the vendor hall, and I mean, I went around twice. The first time I was literally looking for Shadow Dark, and I mean, there's the running joke as the last place you look, and yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of a
Yeah.
tautologically true. But it was the last place I could have looked too. I managed to go through the entire vendor hall before finally figuring out where they were sitting. So I picked that up. I had also gone around the on the Sunday. Um, I don't wasn't motivated to really buy anything. I
Yeah.
don't know. It didn't. I didn't. There wasn't anything that just jumped out at me that said I have to have this. I mean, I've got a lot of dice. So dice for me is almost like something's got to jump out at me, or
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be like buying dice for players, and I'll pick a bunch that they can choose from and make sure that they're all dice I don't have. So I'll grab whichever ones isn't chosen. But
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of dice vaults. I've got one big dice vault. There and it's really hard to find as far as like games and stuff that I don't already have. So I looked around. I looked at the art. Nothing. There's nothing that said I need you to buy this now.
Yeah.
Going as far as a game, going back to gaming. We were talking about Dungeon Mister Ty was in here earlier. And so I had met Ty online three years ago, and maybe 3 years and change or so. And at the time they were getting ready to do a Kickstarter for a game that he and his daughter Erin had written called New of Arden. And I was one of the early play testers of it. We played it on stream. Had a hell of a lot of fun. The Kickstarter unfortunately did not go as planned, but these things happen. He's gone. They've since gone on to continue writing, completing it, and I got to play it again this time with Ty in person, along with
Yeah.
one other person I know and a couple new players. I was the experienced hand at the game. It's a lot of fun. It's interesting in the fact that it uses D4s. So,
Oh.
yeah, get your D4s out. It works a lot better if you have the D4s that are either kind of like the crystal shaped, or the ones where it's a D12 where it's just one, two, three, or four, three times over,
Right.
for rolling purposes. There's some strategy to the game. It's a very different feel. Oh, that's cool. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that makes sense that there would be D8 ones. The D12 feel has a better rolling feel to it, though, I would say. There's some strategy to be had to it. It's very story rich because of the setting. It has its own setting. It has its own lore to it. And I would say it's a lot, really a lot different than most games you'll ever play. But it's definitely the
Yeah.
kind of game that you can have, that you can do a campaign of, because a lot of it has to do with exploration, because New of Arden is technically really supposed to be New Garden. A planet gets reshaped due to I forgot it was a ship or some kind of crystal or something that crashed and basically changed things. I'd have to go and look at it to fully better explain it. But and then the nice surprise was when I got home, I had won a PDF, way back maybe a year or two ago, drawing for a PDF, so that when the PDF was released, I would get it. And sure enough, like the day after I got home, or the day I got home, or the day after I got home, I had an email to pick up my PDF for the game. So added one more TTRPG officially to my collection. But that was a lot of fun. Really thoroughly enjoyed that game. The only wish I had was that I wasn't so exhausted, because that was the Saturday. That was my 8 o'clock in the morning game.
Oh,
I'm going to ask whoever scheduled me for 8 a.m. never do that again. I'd rather run a game at 10 o'clock than run it at 8. That was brutal.
yeah. Uh,
Um, but that on the play for me for on the playing side. Um, did I play any other than I think those were the only 3 sessions I actually played because I never got into any never got into any games in the hallways.
yeah.
Hold on a second, Asher. Let me see what I can do for you. Um, can I do it from here? No. Um. All right. What George? Why don't you? If you got something.
Um, I think overall I had really positive responses to the games that I ran. I think a lot of people really like the simplicity of CNC. I was surprised at the number of new people signing up for events as well. And that, I think it's a real testament to Troll Lord Games and how easy the game is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think we easily surpassed. I think we had over 100. I think it was 105 CNC games, whether it was demos or the tournament. The tournament had some great moments in it as well. Um, you know, we modified the tournament maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the start of GaryCon. And with doing that, a few players found a few holes, and it led to some really creative, you know, tactics and role playing. Um, the group that I co-DM'd with Rob Kenyon, they came out on first. They were fast and efficient all the way through the dungeon, and something that you don't often see from a group of strangers all coming together. So
Nice.
I hope they get to post some of the pictures. There were some small trophies, maybe the size of, eh, maybe even next year we'll get some bigger trophies, but these trophies were about the size of a soapbox, like, ivory or dial soapbox. Maybe something a little bit taller or nicer. But, you know, it's kind of cool, I think, walking away from GaryCon with a trophy, regardless of size.
Nice. Dale, do me a favor. Try linking that again. I just added you to VIP. I think you should be able to link stuff in the channel now. Oh my goodness. Oh, Stream Elements, you silly beast. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
what on? I need to. I use that. That should
Oh,
not be doing that. Um, how do I get rid of his timeout? I promoted him to VIP and then it so that he could link something and then Stream Elements decided the none shall pass, which should not be doing. All
think you broke the internet.
right, I untimed out.
A bad bear. Nice.
That's just frustrating when it the whole point of putting somebody VIP so they can't link it. All right, there's the one that you were looking to do. So interestingly enough, the I had with my games, I had 3 games. The first one, I knew 5 out of the 6 people at the table prior.
Okay.
The only person that I had not only knew 5 out of the 6 prior, um, 4 out of the 6 I had played with in person previously. Um,
Okay.
two of them are members of what do you call it? Two of them are members of or charter. Well, not one. Well, one of them is a charter member of the campaign. One of them is in the same group. Came in a little later. Um, DM Chris got to play. DM Chris's wife was the only person that I had not spoken to ever prior to the session, which was
Okay.
which was kind of wild. Um, Rachel from Marquee Gaming was the other person I spoken to online. Met her in person the day before.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's my group, and then George, otherwise known as Lexfire, was 6, and George has played in one of my games every year since I've started running games there.
Mm.
So which is kind of cool. So the first game, and Chris was GDTRFB 1995. Brought a bottle of mead. He apparently he brought 10 bottles of mead to GaryCon. I brought one to the table. So as you do at a con, we had a glass of mead to celebrate the first session of our first session of the con at 9 o'clock in the morning. And then
Wow.
we had another glass during the session, and then he gave me the bottle to take back to the hotel. So Saturday night, it turned out that there was just enough left in the bottle for one more glass, and I enjoyed the last bottle of mead, Viking Blood, the title Viking Blood mead. It was very, very, very good.
Nice.
Um,
Nice.
the next day, and the session went very well. Had a lot of fun. Poor Chris. He both Chris and Scott, otherwise known as Dirty Dwarf, had characters. Characters from the campaign, not their main characters. They're both their second characters from the campaign. Poor Chris, for all his trouble, his character got the crap beat out of him most of the game. His paladin was not having a good day. Managed to avoid dying, but it was close. Had him down at -4 at one point.
Wow. Um, I had some really odd moments where the dice were either incredibly hot or were incredibly bad. And typical fashion for me, I ended up hitting the person with an AC of 18
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly. When it came to hitting the wizard with AC 13,
Mm-hmm.
I constantly missed. Well, I did hit a few times, but for the most part, multiple attacks. Like, I think I had 3 attacks per round against the wizard, and I rolled like 2, 2, and 4. And I just don't know what happened to the dice. It went totally cold on him.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one party actually. I think which character was it? Yeah, the one party, I think, and it might have been the first day. It was either the first day or the second day. The party ended up getting lined up for a lightning bolt right down the hallway,
Oh,
because they,
nice.
they they decided to they decided to engage the spellcaster before getting. All right, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, it would have been the second day because there was no long hallway in this one. On the second day, they decided to engage and interrupt the spellcaster while he was talking. Um, so he decided to throw a lightning bolt right down the hallway, and the only reason that the wizard was like the only one who survived, made their saving throw, and it's good because the wizard would have been killed almost outright.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, the second day, Chris's wife played again. She had this fantastic elven cosplay that she was doing, and it was great. Um, had a couple more people that I knew, including Commander Pete from the TLG Discord, who brought beer.
Nice.
I did not drink the beer
Oh,
at the table because the beer it was just one bottle of beer for me. He did bring Belgian chocolates for the table, which was a hell of an offering.
Yeah.
That was a fun, another fun party. Um, though I had to improvise a bit because somewhere along the line we lost two players. So we
Okay.
ended up with 4 out of 6. Um, on Saturday, I had 4 people that I was not familiar with at all. It was a good session. They enjoyed the session. Again, it was 4 out of 6. Um, and it took I mean, granted, we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I think it took a little time for everybody to wake up and kind of get going. Um, we had a lot of fun. It was kind of funny. They when they named their characters, all their characters had like one word names, and it sounded like a heavy metal band. It was
Oh,
I forgot what the different one of the characters' names was Slash. It was just like
there you go.
but that's where I used the terrain from that I got from Metro Gamer Meth at Page. So that
Oh,
was yeah.
I'm sorry, Rob. Was that the Stonehenge
Yes.
looking pieces? Yeah.
Yes. I did use one other piece in
Oh,
the first
okay.
session. I didn't have a pic. I don't know if I have a picture of it in one of the pictures taken where it's basically stairs going into the ground. Um,
Oh, nice.
that was another piece from it. And then after that, I used a lot of the Whiz Kids thing for making basically a cave and such. Let's see, what were other questions that we put together? I made.
So I think one of the things I would change with the games that I ran is I stuck a puzzle into my game, and I need something else with the puzzle to make it a little bit easier. And I don't do puzzles often. Oh no, did you hear about the puzzle?
All I know is puzzles in games. In games, that's a
Yeah,
dangerous thing when you're playing a home game. When you're
it
playing a
is.
con game, I do not. I do not. And the funny thing was, I say this as talking about funny moments with puzzles was in the Tower of Gygax. The first room we were in was a puzzle,
Okay.
and it had to do with the gravity, the floor and ceiling switching occasionally, based on height. And I accidentally solved the puzzle
Oh,
because at one point, there was a door on the other side. We had there was other stuff that we had to get. Like there was something we had to get past. It was like a pentagram type thing that ended up generating a fire elemental. And at one point, the floor and ceiling switched for anyone who was over 4 feet tall. So we took some damage
okay.
floating to the floor to the ceiling. There's also a door on the opposite end that at one point where somebody had gotten to the far end was removing traps on the door, and the door ended up moving from one height to the other height.
Hmm.
So I was able to get to the other side of the room. I'm looking at the where the door is, and the thief had managed to climb to where the door is and was ready to go. And I was like, if you want heals, throw down a rope. So as he's doing that, as the thief is throwing down a rope, I'm like, just in case anybody accidentally switches the gravity again, I'm going to lie down. This way I have a better chance of maybe landing on my feet. Try to convince the DM that I could possibly land on my feet.
Okay.
Maybe get a bonus to the saving throw or something like that. As soon as I lie down, I was below 4 feet. I floated up to the basically ended up feather falling to where the door was, and it's like inadvertently trying for something
Nice.
different, and I'm solving a
Yeah,
puzzle. So I was like, yeah, puzzles are dangerous,
there.
especially if something's locked behind it.
I think I left this run a little bit too long, but I think the players were still interested in solving the puzzle at that point. You
Mm.
know, once they started having trouble, or when it goes too long, I just pulled the plug on it. I gave them another clue, which I had readily available. They could use that, and they figured it out rather quickly. Then at that point,
Yeah,
so
that's probably the way to go.
I think the other part is I need to only use one set of terrain. I took desert terrain and more Arctic terrain for two different games. I think next year it's just going to be one setting for all my games. So
That's one of the reasons I brought the warlock stuff with me, because I can make it adjust it. The
yeah,
problem is it's very limited as far as like how much you can really put together. It doesn't make super large terrain sets. I might look into like buying more dungeon tiles, or start printing them. Um, you Speaking of things on my list, is to buy a bamboo printer and assemble the one that I already have, because it would suck if I bought a brand new printer, put it out, and the other one is still sitting there unassembled. I got it
yeah.
out of the box though. It is out of the box. It is on the table that I did buy, take out of the box, and assemble. So, I'm feeling proud about myself for that much.
Well, that's a Twitch stream in itself for you. Just
That's
taking the
that's
camera
a
around.
Twitch stream, George. That's a whole lot of therapy into that one. Uh, oh my goodness. So yeah, let's see. What else? What else is there? That was um. You mentioned as far as like what worked well for the games, what didn't. Would we change? I mean terrain. I need to take a look at how I'm going to use terrain. I need to figure out what my game is actually going to be better in advance, instead of throwing out a name and then figuring it out later.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like I come up with this name that just rolls off the top of my head, and it's like, well, now I have to figure out how to make this work. It's like, not the best way to do a con game, I admit, but I wouldn't be
So
me otherwise.
actually, from Greg, Natural 20 Games, he showed a pack, and I bought this pack. It can handle multiple books. They slide in from the side.
Mm-hmm.
There's a section to hold miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I pulled together a cast of characters to match a cast of miniatures to go with the characters that I'm providing in my games.
Mm-hmm.
And if
That
you're
I can
playing
say
the
I
monk,
had.
oh, did you?
Yeah, I have one of those soft shell cases that has like
Mhm.
several stacks, and that I put miniatures in. What I forgot was that I kind of took it knowing that the miniatures for characters were in it. What I had forgotten was that I had supplemented it with a last year with a plastic case, like not Tupperware, more storage type thing, that had a bunch of monsters. So all my monsters were like smaller variety. So a lot of the stuff was either small, had a lot to do with like enemy casters and hobgoblins, and like, which is fine because it was a low level party. I mean, they were all level 3 and 4. Because of the, I think by next year with the campaign, we'll be further along. I think I'm going to be boost up the XP that new characters are going to start at,
Mhm.
um, and go from there. So that I can have a little more fun with the groups. We'll see where we're at with that.
And Rob, the games that you run, are they all the same, or are they
No,
slightly different,
they're
or a
they're three they're three they're
continuation?
three very very different games.
Okay.
Um, I mean, they're all CNC and they're all part of the campaign, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're different different sessions. Last year, last year I was the first year that I ran it as part of the campaign, and I did do 3 sessions that were connected. So it's like
Yeah.
each group had a part of the arc dealing with it, and if you were in more than one session, you were along for more than one part of the journey. This were 3 unrelated 3 unrelated groups. Well, no, the Chris and his wife played the same characters, so I was like, figure out there's about a week between your last adventure and this one.
Okay, that works.
We're talking about what worked, what things that worked and didn't work for Ty for our thing. Um, were you here when I was talking about New Varden? That was early on, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how long you're gone, but I think you might have missed that part. Talking about the fact that getting to be at the table, playing it in person, and fun with D4s and the D12s that you're using that were D4s in D12 format. Oh, nice, nice. But yeah, no, we had a lot of fun. New Varden was it I can't stress enough. It's a fun game, in that the setup for it. It's sci-fi fantasy mixture, because of the way the whole situation comes about, and the way the different cultures that are there and why the cultures exist and what they are. Like the character is playing, and you're not playing. It's not a race class thing or a culture class thing.
Yeah.
The class, the culture is the class as well as the species or whatever you want to call it. So what I was playing was a culture called Asgal, where we are basically a manifestation of sound. So me loving that type of thing. I was having a lot of fun describing how my sound powers worked.
Yeah.
And you can have a lot of fun with it, and as your character evolves, you can they go through, instead of levels, they go through what they're called evolutions, and every so often during an evolution, you can get access to another culture's powers. Though there is one that'll be diametrically opposed. Not another culture's powers, but the basically the different aspects.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially when I went from having not only sound powers but powers for like elemental powers. Uh, made
So
for some interesting stuff.
easy question for you, Rob. Two questions actually. Question one: how soon are you going to be ready to go back to GaryCon?
Um, well, I mean, as soon as I can get those badges, and I'm ready. I'd like to
Cool.
get over this cold first, but
And have you
because
considered going to EggCon at all?
where's EggCon?
EggCon is by Heidi Gygax, and it is in Lake Geneva. I think they have two different locations. I'll send you all the info.
I don't know. I mean,
Late July.
late July. I mean, late Geneva and late July might not be a bad thing. My problem is, with GaryCon for me, it's because I know so many people. So,
Yeah.
even though the social aspects of it didn't work quite the way I wanted it to, after
Mhm.
Thursday, at least I was still running into people that I know. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't like I spent a lot of time, after hours by myself. But while I was there, there was always somebody I would run into, individuals that I could, say hello to and, have a conversation with, and so on and so forth. Um, I did PAX Unplugged, a couple years back, and it was a miserable, other than the brief time that I got to spend with some friends of mine. I enjoyed nothing about that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I got to see Creep Bones, Kurt, and Vamp. And again, I saw them all on the Wednesday night, and we were all hanging out together. And then I lost track. I lost track of everybody. Because I didn't quite realize that Tower of Gygax became the focal point for everyone's social gathering. Otherwise, I would have spent a lot more time there. You know, I don't know that he is. I think he wasn't feeling well, so he might not be Lord Fourth. I'm thinking he isn't because he also hasn't popped in, and normally he pops in when he's going to. So I might have to find somebody else to raid into tonight. So that'll be interesting. Um, but yeah, so like I said, I lost track of everybody, and it I'm not gonna lie, it kind of sucked. That particular aspect of it was not pleasant, but again, I was, at least I got to see them on the Wednesday, and even on Thursday during Tower of Gygax, there was a bunch of people there, and got to chat with people there here and there. I managed to get on that Sunday. I did manage to get my first printing of Codex of Erd, back when it was spelled ERDE, signed by Stephen Chenault. He was tickled to see it because the book predates Castles and Crusades. It's back published in 2001, and it was something that I just happened to pick up in a gaming store in Southwest Pennsylvania, down in Washington, PA, which was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. Did we turn anyone on to the game? So did you turn anyone on to CNC?
I think I got a few folks who went down to check it out at the store, in the exhibitor hall. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
That's cool. I know Rachel from Marquee Gaming, that we had talked about it, and she had won a copy of, I think she had won a copy of the Player's Handbook at some point. Both her and Mark from Marquee Gaming.
okay.
I'm pretty sure that was her first time actually getting to play, which was
Okay.
really cool. She was she was all kinds of excited about it. So looking forward to having her in future sessions. Uh, there
Great.
she is, right in front. Um,
Oh yeah.
you got a picture with Grace from TLG, otherwise known as Crane Wrights. But as far as I mean, the four guys in my Saturday game, I think they had all played in a session the day before with somebody else. Hey, Touch of
Yeah.
Evil, good to see you. Got a nice shout out from Wiley Hobbit, who was, at least on Saturday, was the next table over from me, because apparently I'm the person who got him into CNC, and he's part of my CK family tree,
Yeah. Well,
which is growing.
yeah. It was nice to meet up with a few people on the Discord. Laramie. You mentioned Pete
I got to
multiple
meet
times.
Laramie on Sunday. I
Yeah.
saw him, but he was in the middle of running a game. But on Sunday, after I made sure to go over, and he was at the Frog God thing, so we got to chat a bit on Sunday.
Hmm. Yeah. I got to meet Grandpa John. Not overly talkative on the Discord, but he's there.
Okay.
Um, and you probably met Hoyt or Black Moat. He was doing a lot of the demo games up there and such. Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I don't think so. I keep seeing. I mean, I keep seeing his the normal poster thing that he has up, but I don't know that
Yeah.
we've ever actually had a conversation, which
Yeah.
is kind of odd.
All right.
Yeah, but on that, it was, again, there are things that I wish had gone down differently, but from a gaming standpoint and getting to see people, I mean, I got to see I got to see pretty much every one I wanted to see at least once. That I will say. Everyone who was there, actually, there was only one person who I was supposed to have seen who I never saw, and I'm not even sure I'm honestly not sure if he made it to the con. Because
Oh,
in years past, I've run into him multiple times in the hallway, and despite all that, I don't remember seeing him. But I got to see everybody at least once. You know, had a lot of good gaming, both playing and running. Managed to get some selfies, got some stuff signed. So, I mean, and it was a good weekend. It was, there's some stuff that, again, I wish that had happened a little differently, but we'll fix that for next year. I've already discussed it with certain people about ways we can avoid it happening again, and make next year an even bigger one, better one.
awesome.
All right, so let's do this. Couple of things. One, I need to figure out who on earth I'm rating. Oh, you know something? TLG is still live.
Yeah. Well, that'll be fun to raid then.
Ha ha ha. All right. Well, I guess let me see if let me see if there's anybody else I'm following that I would want to raid into. Nope, nobody
I'm
that
surprised they're still active. Usually they wrap up by now.
they're playing a game.
Oh,
They're
okay.
doing the Castle Zaga game.
Nice.
Chuck is running, and apparently he has not killed them all yet. So he's got Steven Davis and Peter Bradley as his three players.
Oh, okay.
So what we're going to do is we are going to go to get the giveaway thing. Exclamation point ticket to enter. I will give you another minute or so while George. Any last words, George?
No, I'm simply looking forward to the next GaryCon. There's a few things I want to do next year. I want to get into a Braunstein game. I want to try to get some of the scheduling fixed. I want to make sure that you don't end up with an 8 o'clock game again. Um, you know, I think there's a lot of things that we can do better next year. It was good.
I felt so bad. I was literally falling asleep in Ty's game. I was struggling. I'm sitting there. It's like I'm invested, but it's like as I was waiting for stuff, especially when it was things that I knew, it was so hard to keep my eyes open. It's like it was rough. It was
I,
rough.
I actually figured out that from Tuesday morning when I went to work until Thursday night around 9 o'clock or so, I had about 10 hours of sleep. Um, you know, I think just the anticipation going to GaryCon, and then once getting there, all riled up and everything. So I think Thursday I had a very heavy night of sleep, and Friday was somewhat normal, but I was still behind the 8 ball on sleep.
Yeah, one thing I need to fix for next year is my sleep schedule going into finding a way to get myself set up for some sleep before my plane. It's always going to be weird, especially if I take an early morning flight, trying to get sleep because I'll be taking a very early car, but I can't go that long with a sleep deficit going into the con next year. I have to figure out a way to redo that.
In my one game, I started initiative. I was on 9, and then I went to 10, and then I went to 11, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
All right. So we have our $10 digital product coupon from Trollord Games. Trollord Games, who we will be rating into, creators of Castles and Crusades, Amazing Adventures, and other fine products. Our winner is there we go. Summoner of Turnion.
Nice.
Excellent.
Nice.
I know he was on earlier. I'm not sure. Normally, I ask people to stay on, but something he was on. He was chatting. New member, so congrats. George, you have him on Discord?
I do. Yep.
Okay.
I'll share that link.
Yeah, if you could do that. So we are going to go to stream ending, and we are going to raid into Troll Lord Games. So everyone, please hang on. Get your raid emotes ready. I did set up what do you call it? Everyone should have access to the Phantom NJ raid emote or the Phantom raid emote. So if you'd be so kind to use that, I would appreciate it. Because hey, Summoner, good. Congratulations, you won the giveaway. So. All right. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks Keith for the subscription. Thank you all for chatting, and those of you I met at GaryCon. It was so good to see you. Good to meet you meet you in person for the first time, playing games with you, and all that good stuff. And I look forward to doing more of that, in the coming years. And we are going to raid into Troller Games in 3, 2, 1. See you on the flip side.